Hi, Michael. Hi, I can't hear you, but it's showing that you're not muted.
And I always use this. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now I can.
How are you today, Monica?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Where do you live? I love your greenhouse effect.
Oh, thanks. I live in Dallas. So,
Oh,
but I work with our New York office quite a bit.
okay.
So that's how I ended up
Makes
on
sense.
CoreNet.
Yeah, I know Morgan. I know Morgan. We used to be in a group together.
Oh yeah, Morgan's great. I love working with her. So.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Yeah.
you do.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. Hi, Brooke.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Good, thanks. Is the audio
What's the
if I'm
what's
talking?
You sound low, Brooke.
Pardon?
You sound low.
Like the volume sounds low?
Wait, I made you louder on mine. You're better. You're good.
Okay. How are you doing, Michael?
I'm doing well. How are you, Brooke?
Good. Doing pretty good.
So, do both of you live in the city?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different
What's
parts.
What's the weather like there today?
Cold and kind of overcast and sunny a little bit. Where are you located?
I'm in Dallas.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So it's kind of warm, and we're going to have thunderstorms possibly while we're on this meeting.
Oh, wow.
We had that yesterday. We had really bad thunder and lightning.
That's what I read. You had some good storms up there yesterday.
It's just all madness. We get storms, pandemics. It's
Just the world.
exactly.
Uh,
It's not.
So when you need groceries, I'm just curious, how do you feel about going out? Do you get nervous about it, or have you gotten used to it, or?
I get delivery, so I actually haven't gone to the grocery store.
Okay.
I was going in the beginning, and I would do like gloves and a mask, but the aisles are so small. It's so hard to stay away from people. So I've also been trying. It's harder to get deliveries, but I just lucked out this weekend. I was able to get from Fresh Direct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have to reserve, like we reserve our delivery slot 10 days in advance to hold it. So it's
Right.
easy to come by, but we have been lucky that we've been able to continue with delivery.
Yeah.
Wow.
I gave up on Amazon Fresh because I kept trying. Even at midnight, I couldn't get a spot 2 weeks out. And then I don't know why, I just tried Fresh Direct and I lucked out.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
People go to the grocery store in Texas?
Well, I don't anymore, but I have a couple of neighbors on each side, and we kind of share Instacart, and
Oh, that's good.
or else we do where you drive to the store and they have a curbside. But even that, you have to reserve 5 days in advance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Magnus. Hi, guys. Hi, Suraj. Hi, Francis.
I'm having a bit trouble now. Yeah. Hi guys.
There you are. We see you.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you guys?
We're well.
Good.
Good. Good. Where do you live?
I'm currently living in Netherlands, in a city called Deventer. It's half an hour. It's 1 hour drive from Amsterdam. And
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Very
So
cool.
this is my first meeting with CoreNet professionals. So never been on any one-on-one chat with any professionals on the CoreNet platform. So
Yeah. Wow.
What's up, guys?
How are you, Francis?
I'm good, Mike. How are you? How is everyone?
Well,
Good.
Well,
Good.
I'm
Good.
trying to figure out if I'm going to be blinded by this light. The sun keeps changing.
makes it seem
Mike,
like
I don't know
it's
if you
nice
could,
out.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could there, but I got my Philips Hue light. I don't
Oh,
know
you
if could
did?
tell.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I just need like 3 more of them with my room, but
right.
it's pretty cool.
It is cool. Did you
Yeah.
get the Bluetooth version or the hub version?
Hi, Michael.
Hey,
Hey,
people.
Michael.
I think I got the hub. I don't know. It's just plugged into my ceiling fan. I got
cool.
the exact link that you sent me.
Ah, that's a cool.
It looks nice and bright, Francis.
Yeah, it's a lot better. It's a lot better. Hey, Sam. How are you? Samantha. Let's see. How's it going, Mike?
Which one? There's 2 Michaels.
Sorry, I was already speaking to Michael Blunt. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. It's a beautiful day out in New York today, so hoping to get some
Yeah, it is.
sunshine.
Yeah.
I know. I'm going for a walk right after this call.
Exactly.
Just get out
Good.
some sun.
It's actually part of my presentation. Thanks
There you
for
This whiteboard behind me actually has the amount of steps I've been. That's how bored I am in quarantine because I have no hobbies. But I'm trying to do a certain amount a day. So
You need some feng shui in there, some plants, some water, some crystals.
yeah, I'm not going to show you the rest of the room because it's not. It's. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win the bad competition.
Did you lose and get the closet room?
Yes. I did. Yeah.
We are
Is
the
there a
innovators.
window?
There is a window right over there.
Okay.
But, so I got all these like slanted walls, so I can't even like get a sit-stand desk or
By
anything.
New
but I
York
got all-
standards, that's a true room and not a closet since you have a
Yeah.
window.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
Yeah.
Spacious.
It's true. All right. Thomas should be hopping on any minute. I think we're gonna try and just give everybody until about 12:35 to really log on and see how many we have. Oh, hey Kim, how are you?
Yeah.
How you doing?
Doing good. All right. Let's see how many we have.
It's so nice that it's sunny, like it's deceiving that it's a beautiful, nice, warm day out, and then you go out and you freeze.
Yeah, it looks pretty, and then you go outside.
Yeah, it looks pretty. I'll take it, considering I'm not leaving anyway.
True, true. I keep looking out and going, oh, it's so nice, and then oh my gosh.
Right.
Exactly.
And I opened my window and then I immediately, I opened it all the way and I closed it to like an inch. That was it. Listen. So is everyone mostly in the city right now, or is anyone not in New York City?
Connecticut.
Connecticut. There's a shout out.
I've escaped the DC area.
Yeah, I'm in PA.
Jersey.
Connecticut.
Nice.
Connecticut.
So I'm not from the US. I'm basically located in Netherlands. That's why.
Oh, wow.
Wow. There's Thomas. How we doing, Thomas?
Good. How are you, Francis?
Not too bad. Not too bad. We made it. Here we are.
You sure did.
So
So we should just thank you, everyone, for joining us sharply on time. We know a lot of people are back to back with Zooms and Teams and what have you. So we'll give people about 5 minutes to tune in. That seems to be the sweet spot from the last sessions we've hosted. And then we'll get going.
great.
So for your health and your well-being, take a moment to just breathe in and breathe out.
Ooh, Thomas, a man after my own heart.
I love how Kelly has a natural background there.
Wow. Kelly, where are you?
I'm in my backyard, well, my side yard. I couldn't get my early morning walk in, so I just finished and thought, what better call to take for home officing than from your backyard?
It's gorgeous.
That's amazing.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, maybe you should be one of the experts on the panel today, Kelly.
Well, the one thing I would need from you all is what you do when you don't have a stick, a selfie stick, and no table. So I'm not really sure how long I'll last holding my phone.
Hopefully I don't have to set up an outside office because we'll be back in June and July. I'm not even thinking of that. The outside office, I mean.
Mm.
Thank you all for joining us. So I'm Thomas Bade Matheson with Altanova, and we've got Francis Cahill with Creative Office Pavilion. We are chair and co-chair of the Sustainability Committee, and on behalf of the committee, we thank you for taking a moment to tune into this topic today, which we believe is very important. And the intention of the event is really two things. So as the title says, it's about setting up a healthy home office, and it's to benefit you as individual members of CoreNet and of our community, but it's also for organizations looking to advise their employees on setting this up. So, bear both of those lenses in mind as we go through the panel today. And the way it's set up is it's not going to be a panel discussion at the beginning where people are opining about things, because we have specific experts that are chiming in about lighting, about air quality, about a healthy mind, and about ergonomics. We're going to let each of those experts hold a presentation specifically to their topic. After that, we're going to open it up to a little bit more of a discussion. And along the way, we invite people to use the chat function on the side to submit any good questions that come to mind. We will circle back to those questions at the end, where we'll dedicate ample time for Q&A. And, if anyone has other insights and suggestions, the collective knowledge of everyone on this call is so much greater than only those in the panel. So, please chime in also with good ideas if you have at the end. And then to top it all off, we have, in collaboration with Breather, one of CoreNet's new platinum sponsors, we are launching a bit of a competition. So I'll leave it as a teaser, but it's called The Good, The Bad, and The Ugly. And we've got Samantha from Breather who will be introducing more about that at the end. Francis, do you want to briefly tell us who we have on the panel today? You're on mute. There we go.
All right, there we go. All right, guys. So, yep, I'll introduce the panels, and if panelists, you can just kind of raise your hand so everyone knows who to take a look at. So we'll be led off by Brooke Fenn with Human Scale. So Brooke is a ergonomist and experienced occupational therapist. And so Brooke will be leading us off with ergonomics. We'll next be followed by Sahaj Kumar, who is a teammate of Thomas's over at Altanova. So Sahaj focuses on sustainable strategy and innovation, and Sahaj is going to be touching on air quality.
Hi, everyone.
So third up will be Michael Blunt. So Michael is the CEO of the C3 method. So the C3 method is a corporate wellness provider. So for example, they have in-office and virtual yoga, fitness, meditation, Pilates sessions. And Michael is going to speak to the healthy mind. And last but not least, we have Michael Janicek from Corgan Architects. So Michael is the senior lighting designer over at Corgan. And Michael has been practicing the field of light for over 30 years. So he'll touch about how light affects us while we're working. So I think the way we're going to go is just everyone's going to have, 5 to 7, 10 minutes, whatever they feel is necessary. So I think if Thomas, we're ready to go, I'd like to turn it over to Brooke.
Yeah, let's do it. Take it away, Brooke.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending today. I'm really excited to be here to share with all of you some knowledge about ergonomics. And as I look on these meetings, I get a bit of an idea about the kind of places where people are working, which is really unique and different for each individual right now. I've seen so many different creative ways of configuring home office workstations in the last month or so. And it's been really exciting and interesting to see how people are modifying their home environments, because we all know that we might not have been prepared for this work from home push that we've experienced lately. So thanks for the introduction, Francis. My name is Brooke Fenn. I am an occupational therapist and I'm a board certified ergonomist. I work at Human Scale in our consulting division, and our team helps and supports companies with providing ergonomics training. We assist in designing, managing, and implementing ergonomics programs for both in-house and in-office employees. The goal of any ergonomics program is to reduce discomfort and the potential for injury. So over the last 6 weeks, we've seen a shift in the majority of our workforce working rapidly from home. And we've been actually starting to hear a lot more reports of discomfort from people who are working in their current environments. I'm extremely passionate about ergonomics and making sure that people are working in a very safe and comfortable manner. And I've been joking lately that it really took a pandemic to make everyone realize when they're working in some of the worst ergonomic situations, really how important ergonomics is to be thinking about and considering in any space that we're working in. So in preparation for the discussion today, I've been thinking about the 3 major challenges with this rapid shift from working from home from an ergonomics perspective. So the first thing is that there's an overall lack of standard office equipment, and also a lack of knowledge and awareness of proper ergonomics and posture. So although equipment can be helpful, our mantra as ergonomists is always posture over product. So I would argue that postural training and awareness is more important to make sure that employees are working comfortably, applying ergonomic principles in situations where they might not have proper ergonomic equipment at home. The second thing that I've been noticing, kind of a trend, is that we have seen a significant increase in sedentary behavior. So everyone is now working entirely from computers. We're no longer seeing those spontaneous movements where we're changing from meeting room to meeting room. We're not walking to the subway anymore. We don't have opportunities interjected throughout our day to be moving. And this is absolutely going to have a huge impact on our comfort and perhaps discomfort. So as a workforce that has already gradually been progressing towards becoming more sedentary with technology changes in the last 8 to 10 years, we've seen a rapid shift in a very extreme measure where people are actually sitting for really long periods of time right now. I'm guilty of this as well, so I've actually had to implement some new ways of interjecting movement throughout my day, but I'm sure all of you are familiar with these back-to-back meetings that there's very little transition time, so we need to think about different ways to incorporate movement. The last thing that I think is also really important to consider with this shift is that we're spending a lot more time in front of screens. So for jobs prior to the pandemic that maybe didn't require computer work, we're now all of a sudden working almost 100% in front of computers. And this can have an impact on our visual discomfort. Having high levels of screen time has been shown to lead to computer vision syndrome, so dry eye, itchy eye, some visual discomfort associated with the increase in screen time. So not only is it important to think about moving our bodies more, but taking frequent breaks away from our screen and just giving our eyes a rest from that constant input that we're getting is going to be really, really important to consider as well. So what I thought would be helpful for the rest of my presentation is to actually go through some quick ergo home fixes for everybody, because I know that I can see that some people aren't working in standard offices. So I wanted to just go through and review some quick, easy fixes that hopefully you can apply to your home environment right away. So I'm going to just adjust my camera so you can see my body. So when I talk about ergonomics, the first thing we always want to think about is what's called a neutral seated posture. So a neutral posture is a posture where our muscles in our joints don't have to work so hard to hold us in that position. So what it actually looks like, if you look at your own body, we want to see that our feet are actually supported on the floor or on some kind of surface. So maybe a footrest or a stack of books or a box, but we would definitely want to have our feet supported and not dangling. We'd also like to see that our thighs are parallel to the floor, and they should be supported from behind our bottom all the way to just behind our knee. Now we do want to have a bit of a gap behind our knee and the edge of the seat to avoid any kind of contact stress or pressure behind your leg there. So we don't want to disrupt the circulation down to your feet. So about a 2 finger, if you measure with your finger, about a gap like that behind your knee is what's recommended. Next thing for a neutral seated posture is we definitely want to make sure that our back is supported. So it's actually a common misconception that we should be sitting perfectly erect and upright in a 90-degree angle at the hip posture. This is a very fatiguing posture for our body to maintain over time. And you may have noticed this yourself, but over time what we tend to do is we actually tend to hunch forward and lean forward, which can be a leading contributor to lower back pain. So definitely try and find a way that you can sit with your back supported. Ideally a chair with a backrest is preferred. Another thing to think about for our back of our chair, if you're selecting a chair in your house, if you don't have a task chair, you may be lacking what's called lumbar support. So our lumbar spine is in our low back. And when we're working, we like that part of our spine to be supported in some way. So one easy thing you can do is create a lumbar roll. So this is something that I made with just a towel, and I rolled it and secured it with some rubber bands. So if you're working on a chair that doesn't have an adjustable lumbar support, positioning something like this in your low back and making sure that you sit and are supported throughout the day should help with any kind of low back discomfort that you may be experiencing. Some other things that we can do for chairs that aren't adjustable, looking at adding some cushions maybe underneath ourselves if we need to elevate based on the height of our work surface. Maybe adding a thin folded up towel underneath as well would help to reduce any kind of compression on the soft tissue underneath your thighs. So just take a look around and be mindful about those chairs that you're selecting to sit in when you're working throughout the day. High stools, anything without a backrest, a bed, a soft couch. These are areas that we want to try and avoid spending long periods of time sitting in. It's just not going to be very supportive for our body. Another thing to think about when we're working from home, if we're working on a laptop, which I imagine most people probably are, the best way we can make a laptop more ergonomic from a tool that is not very ergonomic in its design is to find a way to separate our hands and our eyes. So on our body, our eyes are obviously up here, and our hands, where they naturally fall, are actually closer to our lap. So we want our shoulders to be down when we're typing. We only want a bend of about 90 degrees at our elbow and a nice straight wrist, and that's going to protect those sensitive areas and lead that can, when we're shrugging our shoulders and bending our wrists in these postures, can lead to discomfort over time. So if we can separate our hands and our eyes by using an external keyboard and a mouse, this is a very cheap, cost-effective way that you can make a laptop a bit more ergonomic at home. So I know it can be hard right now to order these things online, but if you can get your hands on an external keyboard and mouse, I'd highly recommend it. Another thing to think about for typing is the position of our wrist. So we want to make sure our wrists are straight when we're typing. We don't want to be bending like this. Sometimes we notice that there's contact stress, so where soft tissue is touching on a hard surface or an edge of a desk. So in order to reduce that contact stress on our wrist, we can use what's called a palm support. And that actually can be positioned right in front of our keyboard, and it'll help to keep our wrists a little bit more straight. So this is an example of a palm support. We do recommend only the ones that are used for keyboards. The mouse one functions a little bit differently, and it actually can lead to increased pressure in the carpal tunnel. So only for the keyboard. If you want to make a palm support at home, you can just use a towel and fold it up. Position it right in front of your keyboard and make sure that it isn't any thicker or thinner than your keyboard itself, and that'll help to keep your wrists a little bit more straighter. We want to make sure that our work surface is the appropriate height for us, so if you can select something where your tools, your keyboard and mouse fall just below your elbow height, that will be the ideal position for your hands to be when you're working. And then as we work our way up our body, we want to make sure that our screen is aligned to keep our neck over our shoulders. So ideally, we'd like to elevate the screen so that your eyes come in line with the top line of text on the screen. That'll keep your neck in a nice neutral position so you won't be bending forwards or tilting backwards. And then finally, just make sure that as much as you can, all of your tools are straight and aligned with your body. We want to reduce twisting and turning of our trunk and also our neck. Those sorts of movements and postures can lead to fatigue in the muscles, and just we start to see discomfort and perhaps injury happening over time. So those are hopefully some tips that can help each of you apply right away to your workstation. Another big takeaway is just incorporating movement. So as much as you can, try and take frequent micro breaks. Micro break can be very, very short. It can just be about 30 to 60 seconds. You stand up, walk around, think about maybe taking phone calls, walking, or standing in a different area of your house and just changing your posture as frequently as possible. And for your eyes, thinking about taking breaks away from your screen. So there's a rule, the 20-20-20 rule. For every 20 minutes of computer work, we want to look at something that's approximately 20 feet away, and we want to blink and look at that object for about 20 seconds. And the more we incorporate that into our day, the less we're going to see that visual eye strain associated with the prolonged computer use. So that's all that I had to share with you today. I hope you found that helpful. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you do have any more questions. I'm happy to be an ergonomic resource for any of you.
Thank you so much, Brooke. So many things I'm sure we're all kind of experiencing right now, especially the walking for me is, yesterday at like 4 o'clock, I realized took like 800 steps, which is bad. So you got to make sure to do that. And then the eyes too. We're all looking at floor plans from time to time, but now we're just going back to screen. But thank you so much. And then I think to just kind of keep things going, we'll go right into air quality with Sahaj from Altanova.
Sounds good. Thanks, Brooke. I can't wait to start using some of those towel tricks. I know that I need some definite lumbar support. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I put together just a quick presentation here. Just give me 1 second. Share screen. All right. Thomas, can you see it?
Yep.
All right, perfect. You're my guinea pig. Hi, everyone. So my name is Sahaj. I'm a sustainability associate at Altanova. We help corporate leaders select, design, and operate their real estate more sustainably. Today, I'm going to cover a topic that impacts us all, but it's something that we don't usually get to see that much, and that is indoor air quality. And today, specifically, about indoor air quality in your home. So why does it matter? So everyone has been in a room for just a little bit too long. Some people may feel like their eyes, their nose, or their throat can be a little irritated. Some people get headaches or fatigue. They start to feel that strain of just poor indoor air quality. So some people have a physical reaction, and some people even have a mental reaction. And studies have shown that cognitive performance is definitely impacted by poor indoor air quality, and that an increase of fresh air and better air quality can actually contribute to better cognitive performance. So air quality impacts both your physical health and your mental health, and your performance and your ability in both realms. So today I'm going to give you like a few tips to help you manage and improve your indoor air quality at home. But first, I'd like to show you guys some problems that we normally see, and we've seen across 5 continents, years of doing this kind of work and research. So generally, what we attribute to like a stuffy room are attributed to 2 aspects. One is CO2, which is the first graph on top, and the second one is VOCs. So to clarify, CO2 is indoor carbon dioxide concentration, and VOCs are volatile organic compounds, which can be anything from perfumes or like off-gassing from your furniture or your walls or your paint. So looking at the graphs here, just going into a little bit of detail briefly, we have concentrations over time. So On the left, we've got, midnight all the way onto the right, end of day. The red line there shows what the recommended levels are, and the bars indicate the concentrations over time. If you see on the left, that's kind of the little green area is what you would get just, briefly stepping outside in New York City. So those are what we would say are natural levels. Looking at the chart, we can see that starting at the working day, the second people start entering the office, we see an uptick in both CO2 and VOCs, and both of those aspects can contribute to the symptoms and problems that we saw previously. The bottom line is that spaces aren't generally as healthy as maybe they should be or could be, and we don't even know it. So what do we do, and how do we prevent these kind of issues from happening at home? The first thing we recommend is always to increase your fresh air supply. So open your window even briefly, or if you have like a central AC system, you want to turn your fans on, which helps you just flush out some of that older air. There is a caveat here, and that is if you do open your windows and you're susceptible to some kind of allergens, maybe don't want to do a full flush out and open all your windows in the middle of pollen season. But even cracking your window open even a little, and getting even just a little bit of fresh air turnover can do wonders in terms of your air quality. So along the same lines, we want to recommend that you install portable air purifiers or some kind of an advanced filtration system. So mentioning those like allergens or pollen, dust in the air, the portable air filter will help you manage and reduce those levels and instances of allergies in your space. It can also help you decrease the risk of airborne pathogen transmission, especially if you use a HEPA filter, which is it can capture 99.9% of physical things in the air, and it can even capture some kinds of bacteria. So definitely would recommend a portable air purifier. Third, we would recommend that you continually manage pollutants in your space, physical pollutants, namely like dust, again, allergies, things like that can promote physical irritation or mental fatigue. So vacuum clean and declutter your workplace regularly.
Is everyone else unmute, but Sahaj is frozen?
Yes, he's frozen.
All right, let's
Up,
just
yes.
wait.
Early.
I see the same.
Haj, not sure if you can hear us, but maybe if you could, there we go, unshare screen and try log back in. And I think what we can do, because I think he disconnected as well, is maybe we move on to Michael for a second, and then when Sahaj comes back in, or what do you think, Tom?
Let's just wait a second, because otherwise,
go back and
Maybe
forth.
it's a good time for everybody to go ahead and vent. I just opened up my windows.
Oh no.
There he is.
Is this our opportunity to stand up and move around?
Yes, take a micro break.
adjust your seat. It's
so
been
sorry
fun.
about
We've
that,
been
guys.
seeing people adjust their seats, checking out their setup, opening windows. I saw Seamus doing that. Thanks,
That was
Sahaj.
built in. Good job, Sahaj.
Yeah. So sorry about that. Not sure what happened, but we're back. So hope everyone's adjusted their sitting arrangement. Okay, let's just get right back into it. So like I was saying, you want to manage, the pollutants, the physical pollutants in your space. If you start to see dust accumulating on surfaces, it's definitely time for a bit of a vacuum, a wipe down of your space. All of these different things can help you improve, your indoor air quality. And finally, we know that everyone has a pretty good sense of what's comfortable for them or not in their space. But investing in an indoor air quality sensor can definitely help to provide a little bit of extra data and then visualization into what aspects are contributing to the local environment. Everyone's a little bit different. So it just helps to have another layer of information that you can use and helping to ensure that your space is as healthy as it can be. And this is probably the most fun. I know everyone is really into data and can be really into data, and a lot more data is usually better than none at all. So there's a lot of fun you can have with some of these sensors. We've deployed them, around the world and have gotten some really fun insights. So definitely consider thinking about this. So that kind of concludes my presentation. I hope that it was helpful and you picked up a couple of tips here and there that you can do in your home. And I look forward to hearing and seeing some of your guys' questions. Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much, Sahaj. I owe you an apology because I was ready to move on. So you were off and right back on in a matter of 2 seconds, but I promise I didn't say anything bad about you. So it's just, I think it's funny that kind of like what Brooke said, it takes a pandemic for some people to start realizing what am I actually breathing in normally in my room or in my house. And that, we're all with COVID going on right now. We're all worried about what we're touching and who we're coming into contact with, but what are we just actually sitting in our own, offices and homes.
Definitely.
So thank you for that. And next we have Michael Blunt from the C3 method.
Hey everyone, can you hear me with these earphones? We're good? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I would say as we get started and as I get ready to share this presentation, if everyone can take 3 deep breaths with me, just to kind of start us off. So we're going to do on a count of 3. So 1, 2, 3, breathe in for 4 seconds. Pause. Now breathe out. Again, breathe in for 4 seconds. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000. Pause. Now breathe out. And one more time, breathe in for 5 seconds. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, and 5, 1,000. Pause. Now breathe out. This is a good way to start any meeting, anything that you have to relieve your mental stress. So my name is Michael Blunt. I'm the CEO of the C3 Method, which is a workplace wellness provider that takes a customized and integrated approach to employee wellness. I've been asked to speak on the topic of mental health as it relates to our home and our environment in the new workspace. And a good question that I'm asked is, why does mental health matter so much, and how does it impact our business? So a couple of things. Stress is the #1 serial killer in the world and the #1 cause behind mental health. This directly impacts how invested we are in what we're doing and creating life. And so that begs the question, why is that important for this particular presentation? So we kind of want to think of it in like a simple equation. Can you guys see this picture?
Michael, we're seeing half of the screen. Can you zoom it out?
Can I zoom it out? Yeah, hold on. Does that work?
Perfect.
Okay. But now I can't see the screen.
How's that for ergonomics?
All right. So the question is, why is this important? And we like to think about it in a simple equation like this. Decreased mental health equals decreased morale, and decreased engagement or decreased morale equals decreased engagement, and decreased engagement equals a decrease in your work productivity. Having the most efficient and profitable business model in the world comes hand in hand with having a highly charged and engaged team that wants to be there. These things are not mutually exclusive and need to be integrated into the culture of the business. So with that understanding, let's impact and kind of construct an architecture in which our homes can live and thrive within. I like to think of the way that we live in 3 different dimensions. Our physical space, which is the feng shui, creating more space within our space. The emotional space, which is how we set up our boundaries with ourselves and with others. In the mental space, which determines the lens and how we feel about ourselves and how we contribute to our work. So our physical space. I have a tiny 1-bed apartment in Williamsburg, but it feels like I have a 2-story duplex sometimes. And the reason is because we've completely optimized our space. We closed the bathroom doors, we've implemented plants, saging, implementing, essential oils. We cover the TV. We do a space cleaning, organizing, moving around furniture. You just kind of name it, we do it. And we make up the bed. I know this is probably a hard part for some people, and this is something that my partner and I argue about a lot, but making up the bed makes a huge difference in the morning, especially when you're coming in and out of the room, and it really helps with your mental health. Your emotional space, creating boundaries with the people around you and within yourself. One of the things that I don't do is I don't work in bed. Working in bed gives me stress, and it brings undesired stress that I don't even realize that it's coming. So for the people who have family, kid zone might be good. Eating zone, chill zone, work zone, friend zone. You might just want to zone off your different places, and only in those places do you contribute or participate in those specific activities. The reason is because you don't want to overlap. And when you start overlapping, you don't feel like you have boundaries, you don't feel like you have space. And while we're quarantining together, this is extremely important to set up your to set up your boundaries and really cultivate the space that you want. So you see Francis has the closet. Thomas might have his room. I see a couple of people that are working in the living room. Some people are working outside. These spaces need to be respected, not only with your partner, but you might want to have a specific space with your dog. You might want to have a specific space with the kids, and just overall setting up boundaries. And last but not least, your mental space. The mental space is, what are you doing every day for self-care? And this is really important because I read a quote by James Levin, who's a professor of medicine at the Mayo Clinic, in an interview with, I believe it was the LA Times. And he said, sitting is more dangerous than smoking, kills more people than HIV, and is more treacherous than parachuting. We are sitting ourselves to death. And I know our ergonomics friend can tell us a little bit more about that, but this is one of the biggest things that is killing us is the sitting. So we need to move around more often. We need to incorporate daily self-care. I took a bath for the first time in 4 months this weekend, and it felt great. I don't know why I haven't taken a bath before, but it made me feel a lot better. It completely relieved my emotional stress, and it revitalized me, actually making us feel like we were on some type of retreat or some spa that we went to, and teleported us away from the apartment, away from the quarantine, into a different space for that particular time. So I highly recommend these things. So advising the team, implementation, how do we advise our employees? How do we do this? What are some short-term solutions? Make self-care a priority is number one. Number one, hold yourself accountable. Send a declaration stating that there are plans to invest more and prioritize employee wellness. This is key. Leadership needs to prove and put action behind plan. Scheduling breaks. Microsoft's division in Japan says it saw productivity grow by 40% after allowing employees to work for days or for 4 days rather than 5 days. Alternova, for example, schedules wellness breaks twice a week, I believe it is, that with you guys, yeah, twice a week. It is an amazing example of putting action to plan. If you want some short-term, I guess, some suggestions, this would be amazing in showing and proving that you are very serious in advising your team and very serious standing behind employee mental health and investing in it. Survey your employees to hear what they need rather than they want, and take advantage of the free live programming that's out there. There are a ton of resources that want to help. We, for example, at the C3 method, are like the CARES Act of employee wellness. We're offering so many free programs that if you're not taking advantage of it, I don't even know what to say right now. So go out there, find a provider that works for you, that works best for you, and that can give you some of these free resources at no additional cost. And these would be very good short-term plans to plan for now. And then lastly, leading the team. So there's advising a team and leading the team. And leading the team is what your long-term strategy is going to be. This is an opportunity to repurpose your budget. As it's still the beginning of the year for, I think some of you all, depending on when your fiscal year is, to include wellness programs for your employees. And not just any wellness programming, like a customized, bespoke, and integrated wellness program for your employees to take advantage of. We don't want to just implement and bring in any services. We want to implement the right program for you at the right time that creates within your system and builds a wellness culture that supports your goals and objectives for the year. So lastly, this is an experiment. It's ongoing feedback, and it's crucial that you have your stop, starts, and continues, because this is an iterative process. If you have any questions, holler at me. Here's the information for the mental wellness component. Again, share this with your employees, share a memo, let them know that you're serious, create short-term plans as well as long-term strategy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. That was great as well. I'm in furniture, and when there's a study that one of my favorite studies that always clicked with me is we design for collaboration. And because collaboration drives innovation, and innovation drives productivity. And the first thing you said, Mike, made me realize how important it is to protect the opposite of, what's going to decrease productivity. So it's important to protect mental health and all the well-being of us as well. So it's interesting to see both sides of building up to it and protecting it. And then last but not least, we have Michael Janicek from Corgan Architects, who is going to touch on lighting. I can't find him on this. There he is. All right.
I'm still
Take it away, Mike.
Thank you so much. First, I want to say everything that has been said is great. And it's interesting how it really all ties together in a kind of a neat little package of ergonomics and well-being. And lighting is something that fits directly into that. And what I want to talk about is not just lighting in the office, but lighting in your home. And not just while you're at work, but when you're taking a break or after hours, how lighting affects you. So we'll get into some of that along the way. Let me share my screen, and I will show you a few slides that I want to talk about and give you some ideas. And I hope that no one is offended if I happen to select their place by accident off of the internet in some slides, but probably not. Or if this looks like your space, maybe today will help you come up with some new ideas. Some of the things that light really affects is nature and health. And we really have to take advantage of that for our own well-being. And some of the other things that we often think about with lighting that are easy to change in your workspace are the quality of light. So one of the topics I'm going to talk about is glare and contrast. And this picture shows you both contrast and glare. The picture on the left is actually a SAD space for seasonal affective disorder. And if you were using that as a workspace facing a window like that, as on the right, that's very glaring. So one of the things to always look at is what's the position of your workstation in your house or even in your office? Is it facing a window or is it facing sideways? And I'll show you some other images. But what people don't realize is when you're facing a window like this and looking at a monitor all day, your eyes are actually having to react constantly to the surrounding light levels and the visual distraction. And that actually affects muscles that go down your neck, down your back, and all the way into your bottom, so that you are flexing those muscles unknowingly all day long. And that can lead to backache, neck ache, and stress. We have enough stress without making stress for ourselves. So you really want to look at where you've positioned things. These are a couple of other examples. The space on the left, it's a really cool space. It'd be fun to work in, but if you're sitting there for an 8-hour workday, you're going to really exhaust yourself with that high light level contrast. The other is to look for glare that's on a surface. We all think of computers as having no glare screens. And I'll show you another example also. They are actually glare and reflection that is occurring, and your eye is constantly having to adjust for that. So look for these things. Look for bright surfaces. Here on the right, you see the reflective finish on the desk, creates a very bright and reflective surface. And then on the right, it's very shadowed, so your eye is constantly adjusting. Some other contrast that can be detrimental is too dark. I've actually done spaces for gaming companies, and all the gaming writers love to sit in the dark. In fact, this is on the left is probably too bright for them. But they take a lot of breaks and they walk around and talk, so they do have a different work environment. But if you're sitting here looking at these screens for 4 to 6 hours, your eye is having to deal with the contrast of dark to light. On the right, what's interesting is in this space, it's really, light can be monochromatic, meaning that it's all at the same level. And we want some definition of form around us so that our eye has to make some adjustment. And earlier, Brooke talked about just that 20 seconds that you look away. But if the light level doesn't change, that can actually have a long-term effect on your well-being. So let's look at a couple of examples of some of the things we saw just working better. The image on the left actually faces a window, but they've damped the light down a great deal so that it doesn't have that high contrast level. The other plus is they have a bar on the left, so that can be nice also, but maybe not to some. At any rate, the image on the right, the window is still there. They're in a way facing the window, but it's offset so that you're getting a different contrast of light level. The other plus here is there's actually a desk lamp, which creates a little bit of a different color of light. And we'll get into that later when we talk about color of light. In these two examples, the example on the left has a nice background with some light on it so that you don't have all that hard contrast of dark and light. And then the lightness of the window is coming from the side. This is really one of the best places to have your natural daylight. If you can have your computer monitor perpendicular to the window and in line with the window, kind of parallel to it or slightly forward of it, that gives you the best quality of light for sitting for a number of hours while you're working. And then on the right, we see the same again, where the window is to the right, and the plus here is again a task lamp. And then even more simple as we go along, in this example, you see on the left, the window is to your side and slightly behind. And on the center slide, it's in front of you, but that window has been diffused. And this is a great example of many people's workspace in that there's a window, the room is really for something else, and then there's an overhead light which fills in and helps alleviate some of the contrast. And then if you don't have a window, on the right are some examples. I like the one on the bottom especially because the task light helps to give you a feeling of general illumination like in an office. So just to recap, here's a few things to think about. A good environment for lighting is having the right kind of light or a sufficient light level. You only need about 30 to 50 foot candles, which, to give you a reference of that, if you're sitting reading a book with a table lamp, directly under that table lamp is going to be somewhere in that range of 30 to 50 foot candles. So if you also have daylighting, then you've really upped that and given yourself a good contrast level. Also, no major contrast. That's what I kept stressing. That's one of the biggest things that can help you working from home, is not to have such shadow or dark or light contrast. And limiting that glare and the contrast, plus just providing the right type of light. Something to the side, more general from overhead. These types of sources really help. For overhead lighting, use things such as a diffuse light. So even if you have a light on a fan kit, that is a good diffuse source. Try not to have sharp, like chandeliers, which have many lamps in it and create more shadow and contrast and sparkle. The recommended light levels between 30 and 50, here it says 3 to 500 lux. And it doesn't have to be exactly that. It's what you're comfortable with. Just as I said about gamers working in the dark, if you're comfortable with that, that's fine, but take breaks. Don't always be in the dark. Get up and move around and experience other light, or turn a light on to work for a while just to create that varying environment. Keep windows covered or at least diffuse. If I work in a space that has a lot of windows, but it all faces north and has a lot of trees, so I don't feel the same contrast as if the light was streaming through the window. I'm not going to really get into finishes on your walls because you're probably not going to redecorate your apartment this week. But also look at your monitor. Adjust the contrast on the monitor. You can use a lighter colored background at times. That helps with contrast and glare. Place the monitor parallel to some of the lighting so that it's not having light reflect off of the source. So if you have a bright lamp sitting behind you, even though it may not look it when you're working on the monitor, it's actually reflecting light back at you. And so angle the monitor away from the lights, angle it away from the windows like we were talking about earlier. And then make sure the task light illuminates the area around, but not directly onto the monitor. So real quick, I want to go into a couple of things that are important about the quality of light and also your circadian rhythm. I could go on for days talking about circadian rhythm. It's something I'm very fascinated with, but it is also something that you can easily do a few things to help you. And it's very important that we observe those. What people don't realize is computer monitors and telephones and iPads, all of this, you hear about the blue light. And we think, well, it's a very low level of light. But what we found is it has a certain color of light, and it's at a very, very, very low level. But even lower than that is the amount that is required to affect your melatonin production. So the phone is about anywhere from 10 to 100 times the brightness of what it is required to affect your melatonin levels. So be very careful about that. Also, think about light as color and how you can affect your moods. This is an interesting graph because it talks about just that, how red and blue and green, depending on the mood that you want to create, affect you. And that relates to daylight. So if you look at daylight, this is a time of day chart. We wake up to a very red-orange light that goes into a very white-blue light, what we call cold light. And then it goes back to what it was in the morning. But the other thing that's a plus is this is how your circadian clock resets every day. So the red, and then as it starts to go blue, your mind knows, oh, I have to be in a work mode. and midday is when we're most productive. And then we start to go the other direction. Interestingly enough, if you start to introduce a little red light in your office, in this example, see 1500, which is about 3 p.m., you see more of a warm color coming back to the light. And by 4 p.m., it starts actually taking on some yellow. So if you have an incandescent light, or let's say you have an adjustable LED light, you can warm it up at that time of day, and it actually causes your body to produce some of the fight or flight hormone. And it's not a negative, it actually makes you more productive for a couple of hours and more alert, which can be a good thing if you have a long day. And then as you go into the evening, you really want the light in your apartment to warm up, even if you continue to work, so that later in a few hours when you get ready to go to bed, you get a good night's sleep. So to compare that in a workspace, here's a brief chart that shows you the different color temperatures of light from candlelight all the way to blue sky.
So Michael, just a quick, we're on the last minute here because we need to.
Okay, I'm almost done.
This is awesome.
Okay, I'll be done in just a second. So if you just look on the right, you'll see how that light is warmer, and that's in the about household light bulbs. So it's an easy trick to affect your mind and really keep your body in a circadian system. The last thing I wanted to talk about real quick, which ties to everything that we have heard before, is the outdoors and nature. So maybe you can't go for a walk, but every 20 to 30 minutes, if you can go stand at a window, and even better if you can open that window, it really affects your circadian clock and reminds your body of the time of day and keeps you motivated. And that's what I had.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
So, you know, a lot of this, the interesting thing is that many of these tips and tricks that we've learned really come together. You know, just the last you mentioned about standing by a window and opening it up for the light and for your circadian rhythm also goes well with your air quality and the need to move, and even Michael's point about having a breather. And so on that note of breather, I want to give a moment to Samantha to share our competition, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And just for anyone who's a little nervous about time, yes, we're going to wrap it up now, but the good news is that we actually have a follow-on happy hour organized on Friday, May 8th, where we're all going to reconvene to hear the results of the competition, but it'll also be a nice opportunity for everyone to chime in with questions and see how everything worked with the recommendations that they picked up today. Samantha, do you want to take it away?
Yeah, definitely. Let me see if I can share my screen. Doesn't look like, yeah, okay, let me just quickly share my desktop. Okay, can you guys see this screen?
Yes.
Great. I'm so excited to present this new competition then, and thank you very much to Thomas and Francis for allowing us to work with you guys on this. You know, office space is critical to us and something that we offer to our customers. And we're excited to work with you guys and be a judge alongside of Sahaj, Michael, and Brooke on helping to find the good, the bad, and the ugly. So we're asking everyone on this call to email a photo if you want to participate of your current home office, or in my side, I don't have a home office, so my current work from home area, which is why I have a background on so that I'm not embarrassed by you guys all seeing the space that I'm working in that doesn't follow any of these rules. But send us an email to the good, bad, and ugly competition at gmail.com. Send that by May 4th. And our panel is going to select 3 winners, 1 for each category. As Thomas said, we're going to announce them on the May 8th on the May 8th happy hour. And winners will receive personalized tips From the panel that spoke today, along with Breather's lead office designer, Sophie Fiddler, who will come in and talk more about taking all this advice into your office space. And we will also be pulling together, oh, I'm sorry, and I left out the most exciting part of all of this. We'll also be providing each winner with $300 in breather credit so that once shelter at home is lifted, you have a space that you can go to that is following these rules to work in a little bit more peace and quiet than I'm sure you guys have all been used to over the last few weeks. We're also pulling together and working closely with CoreNet to pull together a blog from the key takeaways from today, so that as you're looking at your own space and assessing how you can improve it, we'll have all the notes and key takeaways there for you. I'm hoping to get that out early next week.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And so it's 129. We're the sustainability community, and it's Earth Day. So we want to, you know, say Happy Earth Day, everyone.
Happy Earth Day.
And, you know, as many people believe, we can't really connect with nature before we're able to connect with ourselves. So we really hope that you got benefit from the lessons today to connect better with yourselves and with the people around you, that you give each other some good space, and that you also have some advice on how you can advise your organizations and employees to do the same. Stay tuned. Check out the good, bad, and ugly. We will send some notes, follow up for everyone that registered for today so that you have the instructions as well as a link to the blog when that comes out. And then we look forward to seeing you all on May the 8th. Stay tuned.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.